That's live.
Welcome to With Thunder's Applause podcast, where two friends talk about the ideas that are going to shape our uncertain future. I'm your host, Steve, along with my co host and producer, Zach. Hello, my friend.
Hello, how are you tonight?
Fantastic. It's an impromptu evening stream, so you get to see us drinking beer,
Getting
maybe
shitty. Oh,
a
well, you
little
can't see.
stoned from
We,
earlier. And then
I didn't
we
plan
were
far
just,
enough ahead for that.
what's up?
I didn't plan far enough ahead for that. All I have is edibles.
No, it's all good. Yeah, and we were just kicking off our night by watching a local newscast because we live in California, and right now it's getting hammered by a bomb cyclone, is what they call it. Which I found out they call it that because the pressure drops really fast,
Mm,
which makes sense because I have a kind of nerdy thing, but I have a barometer on my wall.
that's extremely nerdy, yes. I mean,
But
we are
it's
about to talk about Star Wars and other RPGs, so you should
I'm
expect that.
taking my nerd cred to another level. It's not just
Yeah.
gamer nerdy. It's he
Weather
has a
nerd.
barometer on the wall so he can track atmospheric pressure. Um, but seriously, we were watching it, and it's just kind of humorous because if anybody's from a small town, I'm sure some people are, most people aren't. But if it's small town, but it has its own news station and newspaper, like they're pretty ridiculous. It's kind of sad the quality
It's
they have,
crazy.
but it's also kind of it's a stepping stone for a lot of people, especially in media, to work at a small paper, work at a small live news station, and then take that experience and roll it into like a busier place where you get more exposure and more experience, and then into a cable career.
And
Who
then what?
knows?
She'll be working on a
That
YouTube channel.
we were making fun of the poor young woman who literally was taking footage right outside of the station and clearly didn't get that much footage before they went live with it. And you know what? She could be like one of the hosts on the Weather Channel in the future that kind of helps tie together all the various meteorologists and forecasters and stuff that they interview.
Then she'll be the one
Who the
laughing.
fuck knows? She seemed to be able to wear her makeup pretty well despite the rain and the wind, which she said was crazy
3 times
3 fucking times.
in like 2 minutes. It was great. It was crazy.
At any rate, same shit, different day, man.
Indeed.
We today impromptu stream. We're gonna fuck around with ChatGPT because we had intended to do it on the tail end of our normal Monday stream.
But that was
And
2.25 hours worth of content already. So
yeah, we kind of ran long. And it's funny too, because I wanted to actually bring up a couple things, but we could do it offline. I've just been thinking about like rapid shielding. I was thinking trash cans. Just bring in like those really sturdy brute trash cans and fill them full of water. Would that not
yeah,
work?
no, it would work. Yeah, it
I mean,
absolutely
it's
work.
better than fucking nothing if you had like a ring of those
Yeah,
around you
yeah.
too deep. And then we'd have a large, heavy table. And then we put those black totes with the yellow lids. You can get it like Home Depot or Costco and shit.
Hmm.
And then stack those on the table, lay those out on the table and fill them full of water.
So sleep inside of a ring of those.
Basically, and it
Yeah,
would just primarily, probably first 24 hours would probably be
right.
under it exclusively. And then I'm also gonna get for my prep kit, the little radiological monitoring cards. They're like single use,
Yeah,
but
yeah. I know what you're talking about there.
it's basically like a dosimeter card, so you can see what your
Yeah,
cumulative dose is. Um, yeah, and then we could use those as kind of like see after a day if we're able to maneuver around, like maybe like retrieve something or whatever. But largely, especially the children too,
yeah,
spend
yeah.
most of their time down there.
They are our future.
Well, and also like they're more susceptible to uh, the doses that cause cancer. Like they're more likely to see those cancers.
Yeah. Well, their
Yeah,
cells are dividing so much faster.
right. Exactly. And they just have a lot more life ahead of them, right? Like if it's a
Yeah.
30-year development to develop cancer, like for me and my partner, that's not really relevant because we're probably going to be dead by then anyway. Um, but yeah, so I was thinking trash cans full of water is like we have
Yeah.
20 minutes, you know,
Yeah. It
big heavy
works.
table, possibly move the bunk bed.
I like the idea of the
Um,
Costco ones just because they're so much more stackable.
yeah, and we'd probably try to go. They probably wouldn't. We wouldn't fill them to the brim. I'm not sure
Hmm.
how much weight, but we'd probably start with maybe 2/3 of the way full, and then across the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then if we could do another stack, like half or 2/3 of the way full,
Hmm.
and then just kind of work with it. Um, we have a masonry fireplace on one side of the room.
Hmm. I'm familiar with
So
it.
I was thinking that provides considerable additional shelter. Plus, it's on the north side of the house, in the wind-blown direction and most logical, or I don't want to say likely, but like anybody that's like, oh, and they're gonna blow up every American city. I don't think it's gonna be fucking pretty targeted. And so it's gonna
Yeah.
be military installations and industrial infrastructure. So like Sacramento, Beale Air Force Base, the refineries in Contra Costa County, um, financial centers, perhaps downtown San Francisco, but
You got to remember
little
to
fucking
demoralize people though too. So you got to hit the beer or the breweries and the large stills and stuff like that. I mean, if you're talking long term warfare, you take away my booze. Another
yeah,
country.
but I mean, if you have a limited number, I mean, they don't really have a limited number. They have fucking fantastic amounts, but like realistically, most of those will probably get taken out. You know what I mean?
Let's
it's like over 6,000 US and Russia
Yeah, yeah,
each. Yeah, Russia has a few hundred more than we do, I think.
yeah.
Mhm.
Hey, hey.
Um, but at any rate, like
Damn.
Los Angeles, you'd have like 6 or 7 really good targets,
Oh yeah.
right? So that's going to soak up a few. You figure half probably get knocked out or can't be delivered, um, or can't be delivered quickly, like, or hold some in reserve, right? In case some miss, or like the damage dealt to the industrial infrastructure wasn't quite enough. You could send another.
Hmm.
Um, it all depends. Or, mishaps, like it's supposed to be a 5,000 foot air burst and it's a fucking, a ground hit or something. So the blast wave doesn't damage as far out or whatever.
Right. Yeah, we are both on a list somewhere now.
Why? Because we're taking serious the fact that our government is like fucking kicking a fucking hornet's nest.
And supplying valid targets to anyone who watches this.
Mm, no, I believe military planners would have a much better idea. If I say refineries, like that's kind of common knowledge, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not like, here are the geographic coordinates. You already know where they are because we can see fucking everything with satellites.
I was looking at a house the other day for
Tell me you
Rachel's
saw
job.
the occupant naked sunbathing via satellite.
No, I
That would
ended
have been
up.
cool.
They were like in between a couple of different schools, and you could read the name of the city and the name of the mascot for the high school in the satellite photo.
Oh, not from Street View. It was like painted on the ground.
It was like painted on the ground in the football field. You could read it plain as fucking
Hmm.
day.
Yeah, like the football paint, the field paintings.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, for sure.
Reedley Pirates or something like that. Yeah, it's just like I've never really seen anything like that before.
Bro, dude, like it's really fucking remarkable. And Street View is amazing.
Oh yeah.
Like this was years ago. Like I don't really care. Like, but we just happened. I was working with a guy who had a vacation house. Well, he kind of lived in Russia. He married like a Russian woman because he was like 75 and she was like 30. Um, did the mail order bride thing, but I worked with him when I
Hmm.
was in Afghanistan. And so he's like, oh yeah, my dacha's up here. Like that's like their summer home or whatever.
Hmm.
And we're like, okay, cool, let's check it out. Dude, in fucking Russia, it's like this, in some kind of like country town, and it had like dirt alleyways and shit, and we could just take the Google Street View and go down the
Yeah.
alley, really looking, and we're like, God damn, this is fucking nuts, bro.
I retraced a path from a hostel in Amsterdam to like where we went to a bar and back again. And I was like, man, I think I could do this if I was, drunk, just because I remember all the landmarks like really, really
Yeah.
well.
You're like, oh, that's right. At the end of this big, building with lots of glass and, stone
Yeah, yeah.
facade, it's a block of residential housing, and then I'm the third up on the next block.
I mean,
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
literally like, okay, there was a statue that was doing this, that there was a building that was covered in ivy with a chocolatier across the street. Go about a block further, turn left, you take the next right. There's the bar we were at. And sure as shit, I found the fucking statue. I was like, yep, there we go.
What's the statue? What did it look like, Mr. Nimbus?
Or
What is that?
Belgium is what it was. Sorry, I said
Oh,
Amsterdam.
okay.
It was Belgium.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense given the chocolate, but
Yeah,
I mean, maybe the fucking Dutch like chocolate too. I don't know.
I think everybody likes
They
chocolate.
were like the big trading economic power, right? Like the Dutch had colonies. They had a lot of colonies in Africa and stuff, but I think they primarily were like mercantile empires. So they might have plantations, but like, I don't know. I
Yeah,
should learn more before I talk about it. I don't see the Dutch outside of Africa having like a huge footprint. There might be a couple islands in the Caribbean they own
yeah.
or
A lot
colonized,
a lot
maybe
of them
they're
were
liberated.
mercantile and based on economic exploitation.
Right.
And but
Dutch East
then
India Company. Yeah.
yeah, but typically when they're based upon um military conquering, you can tell because the locals now speak the language. Whereas
Mm.
opposed to how many people speak Dutch? Not a whole lot. As they're like, we don't give a fuck if you speak Dutch. Can you trade with us? Fantastic. Who the hell cares what god you follow or what language you speak? Just make us money.
The internet knows.
I mean, Pennsylvania is more of a Dutch colony than anywhere else. Oh man.
Yeah, the Dutch East Indies with company rule, Dutch New Guinea, Dutch
Mhm.
India, Dutch Gold Coast, New Netherlands, Dutch Formosa, Dutch Virgin Islands, and Dutch Bengal. Oh shit, they had fucking colonies all over the place.
Mhm.
I guess in the Americas.
I mean, it was just much less about like, oh, we need to conquer you militarily. It was more along the lines of like, oh, we'll ingratiate ourselves with your leadership and they'll take care of the hard work for us.
Right.
Yeah, which is actually arguably smarter.
It had more to do with securing commodities. Therefore,
Yeah.
like they had a presence to help maintain the plantation systems
Yeah.
of production of commodities, but it wasn't like the Spanish who like came to Christianize and like
Right.
all those other kinds of motives. In fact, there's
Exactly.
actually I recall reading some stuff because I studied Haiti a lot in grad school
Hmm.
because it's just been such a fucked up place. Um, and, you know, there's been several UN missions to Haiti or whatever to monitor various things and deliver aid and shit. Anyway, learning about Haiti, I didn't realize, but like you can actually see the colonial pattern just on Hispaniola, the island, because Haiti was French and a
Hmm.
French colony, and the Dominican Republic was a Spanish colony. And so you can actually see. Do I have that right? Yeah, I think so. Where the
Yes, that sounds
Spanish settled and wanted to Christianize and like save the barbarians, and the French were there for primarily like economic exploitation.
right. Yeah.
And so you can actually see like a land pattern difference between though based on like the kind of macro objectives they came into colonizing with.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm not an expert. Take everything I say with a grain of salt. Just what I
So,
recall from reading a book or a paper like years
right.
ago, and I could be completely fucking off.
Yeah.
Because my brain's a filter, right? Like I remember what I want to
Oh
remember, and to
yeah.
me, that just kind of like stuck out.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. So is your feed ready to show everyone Chat GPT? I think we should just like
Do
go through like kind of creating a campaign.
sure. Um,
Because you were showing me like how you can do an outline first, and
oh, I just
then
asked it. It's not like
yeah, yeah.
it
Well,
yeah,
no, no, no. But I mean, you basically said like create an outline for blah 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 blah. It gives you the separate like acts or chapters, and then it seems like from that point, like one of the ones that I had was like, oh, the oppression of droids. Droids are treated as inferior beings and are often mistreated by their organic owners. It seems like you could just feed that right back into it. Like, oh, why would someone treat droids as inferior beings? And it would like then you can get kind of like deeper and deeper into the weeds.
sure. I'm unfortunately we should have had a video set up that explains what it is.
Oh, I mean, I can grab that real quick.
Yeah, sure. I'll start here because then I need to get another beer. That's the downside of drinking beer is it goes pretty quick, whereas like a stiff whiskey drink I sip on.
Yeah.
I should just get a mini fridge for my office.
How to make $100 a day with no experience in ChatGPT. Hmm. Hmm.
That sounds like a Zach job.
Mark that later.
Noted. Okay, so I'm going to ask this. And this is AI. I think I asked it last week about current events, and it told me that it stopped being created in like sometime in 2021, I want to say.
Yeah, I think it was like mid 2021. Yeah.
And it doesn't have access to the internet, is what it told me. Of course, it's
Probably for
like
the best.
we're the people who are doing the work for free
Hmm.
of improving the AI so that then they can sell it to fucking DARPA or whatever and use it to like basically create fucking Skynet, bro.
Then they connected to the internet.
Once they connect it to the internet, Skynet goes live, right?
Hmm.
I'm going to say
2 years
create
later,
a
all the humans die.
3-act adventure. A group of relief workers
That's a good one.
think International Rescue Committee. Haha, it's AI. A group of relief workers
Artificially
uh,
think.
think international rescue communities go to a forest planet to deliver medical supplies, or so they what they believe to be a relief mission for locals turns out locals is revealed in the latter part of the second act to uh, an arms supply mission for military forces struggling to secure a mining camp from the indigenous alien species.
So Avatar.
Yes, like you said, fucking Avatar.
Oh, 5 individuals. They know that campaigns need need plenty of players.
Ooh, it decided to make them spies.
I like that it also made it a viral illness. It could have been any sort of sickness, but it made it viral.
It could have been a war zone, and I
Yeah.
don't think I said that.
Medical supplies. So I mean, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Hostile reception from military force station.
The soldiers accused the relief workers of being spies and
Oh.
refused to let them leave. It's revealed the village is actually cover for a mining camp, and the military forces are struggling to fend off attacks from the indigenous alien species. The relief workers are horrified to learn that their supposed delivery of medical supplies was actually an armed supply mission for the military. That's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
The relief workers are determined to stop the armed supplies and bring an end to the conflict between the military and the alien species. I didn't even tell it was a conflict, but it figured it out.
Yep.
They devise a plan to sneak past the soldiers and deliver the medical supplies to the village, hoping to show the alien species that they come in peace. I fucking dig that. The group successfully delivers the supplies and is able to broker a peace agreement between the two sides.
Oh, well,
The
not what I would
relief
have done.
workers return home grateful for the opportunity to make a positive impact. So I'm going to write in response, okay, this is great. But instead of negotiating peace, high end fucking a beardy negotiating.
Maybe I should have done this part.
Yeah, that's great. But instead of negotiating, and you know what I'll do when I go get a beer and it prints this, like I'll have you ask some minor questions or clarifications where you think the story should change.
Yeah.
Negotiating a peace. I'm going to say, yeah, a peace agreement. Our heroes should try to help the indigenous alien species
Pull an avatar.
Tap into the military communications network. I think this is the basic outline we had discussed on the phone, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So so all the citizens of the galaxy can hear about. I fully accept to be shamed for the fact that despite having written like a 90, what was it? It wound up being like 95 pages with footnotes. Master's thesis, I am still a fucking 2-finger typer.
Oh my god. That is pretty bad, man. Oh, so it repeats the first thing. It just makes changes where you didn't write it.
Not always.
Oh,
right?
okay.
And then I can fill in by being like, okay, just describe the mining camp.
Oh, with the help of a sympathetic soldier.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. Fourth sentence in Act 3. They just made up a
Determined
whole new character.
Relief workers decide to help the indigenous aliens tap into the military's communication network. They work with the aliens to gather information to find a way to access the network. With the help of the sympathetic soldier, they're able to hack into the network and broadcast a message to all the citizens of the galaxy, revealing the military's misdeeds and the true nature of the conflict on the forest planet. The message sparks outrage and leads to widespread calls for change and accountability. The relief workers return home, proud of the role they played in bringing about justice. And we can just ignore some of this, right? Like,
Yeah. I mean, of course,
it's over when like
this is where the humans step in and edit it to make it palatable and printable.
So
I love the fact that it just created an NPC, the sympathetic soldier.
Yeah. And so like maybe like how do you want to modify this story? I mean, you can surprise me, but like you can modify the main arc of the story, or you can ask it to flesh out like a location, like I was saying, like describe the mining camp. they're mining for some kind of like ore or whatever, with huge machines, or you could have them flesh out the sympathetic soldier. Like, describe the sympathetic soldier. Like, what's his
Yeah,
motivation?
actually, I
Where's
think I'll
he
do
coming?
that.
Okay, great. Are you going to share your screen then?
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm going to turn my video off and mute my mic while I run to the kitchen.
Right on, right on. Let's see. Describe motivations. So describe the motivations of a soldier that would betray his employers to aid a group of liberty. Last of the act force for the works. There could be a number of motivations for a soldier to betray their employers and aid a group of rescue workers in this situation. Some possible motivations might include a sense of moral duty or obligation to help those in need, regardless of their species or identities, a belief in the value of freedom and the right of all beings to be free and self determined, a feeling of disgust or outrage at the action of their employers in occupying and oppressing another species, desire to right a wrong or make amends for their own past actions, a sense of personal loyalty or connection to the rescue workers or alien species they're trying to help, a desire to break free from the constraints of their employer and follow their own conscience. Any of those are pretty good.
Oh, what was the question you prompted it with? Like, give me like
The
various
motivations
background.
of, yeah, it was like, what could be the motivations of such a soldier? I'm gonna follow you up and I'll be right back, but I'm not gonna turn off my camera. I will mute myself.
Okay. While he's doing that, my story is too much like the movie Avatar. You change the basic setting and premise, but maintain the element that a non-governmental organization thinks it is helping people, but is actually helping oppress those. Sure, here's a revised version. A group of aid workers from an NGO are sent to a drought-stricken region in a developing country to provide humanitarian assistance. They arrive and begin distributing food, water, and medical supplies to the local population. As the aid work continues, they begin to notice strange behavior from military forces stationed in the region. They witness soldiers harassing and intimidating the locals, and they're told by some of the villagers that the military has been using their aid deliveries as cover to exploit the region's natural resources. The aid workers are torn between their desire to help suffering population and their growing realization that they are inadvertently supporting the military's oppression of the locals. They decided to take a stand and use their resources and platforms to expose the truth about the military's actions and advocate for the rights of villagers. They work with local activists and media to bring attention to the situation, but put pressure on their own organization and the government to take action. Despite facing resistance and backlash, they are able to bring about significant changes. Okay,
Story is too much like
this
Avatar.
is good. Now, place this story in a galaxy far, far away. And um, um, uh,
Fantasy or add space wizard elements to it. I don't know.
intergalactic NGO. And see, this is where it begins to just kind of not really be that effective.
Yeah, it starts to. I've noticed it does start to like break down and feed it back to you after a while.
Right. So it's like, here is a version set in a galaxy far, far away. It's the same thing, except it says intergalactic NGO.
Yeah.
Planet's natural resources. Yeah. Let's see your sample motivations.
Oh yeah.
You probably didn't even share my screen before you got up, did you?
No, I did not. No.
No, it's all good.
Once I got back. I did once I got back. I actually read them all off though already, but
I wanted to see them though.
Yeah. Some of the ones I liked were personal loyalty or connection to the rescue workers or the alien species they're trying to help, just because that gives you an opportunity for the doctor or something like that. Maybe the guy who helps them, they got to the planet and he had like a fatal wound or something like that from substandard working conditions.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you did the alien species, that'd be a bit too much like the commander in the second arc of Andor.
Yeah.
Where he kind of like he fell in love with a native woman and then lost his promotion. And also lost the girl because they like took her off to some fucking Enterprise zone.
What sort of dangerous working conditions can one expect? And this is where it helps me the most is like I'm not good. I don't have time to sit there and like think about working in a mining camp and all that stuff. And so here we got working in underground, narrow, confined spaces, cave-ins, explosions, etc. Heavy machinery, hazardous chemicals, extreme weather conditions. I love it. High voltage equipment or electrical systems. Uh, well, explosives. That's just repeating the first one, but I do like that just because like I probably wouldn't have thought of the high voltage equipment, but I mean, pretty obvious. And depending upon what sort of stuff you're mining, like it could very well be your underground in a moist environment.
Hmm. Okay.
So, so this can this could definitely be useful to help you like get a sense of something when you're not connected to it.
No, yeah, 100% for sure. I like that. I like that use of it. I mean, there's a bunch of uses, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think it wrote pretty decent outlines.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of want to go back, and I'm not sure how to get it go back. I might just copy and paste.
Do you tabletop role playing game? Didn't you have one, or did you already get rid of it? The one for
Oh no, I have another one right here.
the pirate ghosts.
Yeah.
Okay, is this the pirate ghosts one?
No.
Oh, okay. I liked that one.
Oh, and then I accidentally hit enter. Yeah, so if I go to this one,
Yeah.
I said, here's an outline for a tabletop. Oh, I asked it for write an outline for a tabletop role playing game where our protagonists uncover a plot involving ghosts, voodoo, and colonial Spain. It
Because your
actually set
daughter
it up
wants
with,
ghosts.
yeah, because my daughter wants ghosts in her next campaign. We're playing Amazing Tales, which you can find on Amazon. I think some other sellers online. It's fantastic, really simple dice system for children. I'm actually going to modify it. I think I'm going to go like basic D&D where like instead of worrying about modifiers and shit, like you still have your 6 basic attributes, but like 2 will be basically like level 1, level 2 and level 3.
Okay.
Because the way that Amazing Tales works is like your best skill you roll a D12, your second best skill you roll a D10, your third best skill you roll a D8, and for your worst skill you roll a D6. And we used the character creation rules and stuff. And what we found was, sorry, I'm like leaning into my mic and not in front of the camera. What we found was, or what I found in playing that dice system is that in character creation, you choose a skill. And so I found my daughter like always finding a way to solve problems using her best skill, which is
Oh yeah. Well, that's
natural.
any role playing ROLL player.
Right, but that's why I thought instead of having like it, because then she wanted to make a potion to fucking solve every problem because her best skill was potion making.
Right.
So I thought I might modify that system and then just basically have like a 10-sided dice, an 8-sided dice, and a 6-sided dice and get 2 of each and then assign them to an attribute. And then it's operating in the realm that I operate in, which is thinking of how skills relate to the core attribute.
Hmm.
And then it also take my 9.5 year old almost, and start bridging the gap towards like either normal D20 or other dice systems.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, the youngest is still too fucking young. I can't keep her attention, dude. Like, and in fact, like at one point in our last session to finish our campaign, finally, that took forever to finish, because I only have them half time. They're with my ex-wife, the other half.
Welcome
You
to
know
our
that,
world,
but
everyone.
everybody
Yeah.
else doesn't.
Yes. Yes.
Um, or maybe they do. Um, but yeah, so it took us a long time to finish. And like in the last session, like my almost 7-year-old was just fucking, she's a worm, dude. She doesn't sit still. And so it's just like, you're making it very hard for me to do my job because we're telling a story together and we're supposed to be telling a story together. And like, you are too busy fucking jumping off the goddamn walls right now to pay attention and tell the story. So it's a real bummer because my eldest daughter is certainly has the attention span and is like super fucking into it, dude. Like she fucking loves it.
You
So
just got to give them opportunities. Like, anytime we roll advantage around here, I have, especially if it's like, oh, I'm helping this person, I have both people roll one die. And that way, everybody gets to do something, hopefully. Yeah, but I thought this one was pretty cool.
you're gonna share your screen.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was sharing yours for the ghost.
Oh, for the ghost. Yeah, I
Yeah,
did
yeah, yeah.
switch, right?
It looks like you're back at the relief workers.
Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah, it set it up. Introduction, setting, characters, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't tell it. I just said tabletop role playing game, so it knows well enough to know they'll create their own characters, choosing skills and
Yep.
abilities. um, the plot: players will discover a group of voodoo practitioners are trying to raise an ancient ghost that was entombed in a hidden chamber beneath the town. I think the big thing that this prompt missed is colonial Spain.
Yeah.
And I guess they could have, instead of colonial Spain, I should have
Spanish
said
colony.
Spanish colony. Correct.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, gameplay, they gather clues, solve puzzles. And so we could have totally asked it like, and so what I did was I was a combat. There may be some combat. Okay, so it's really kind of basic, but like, it's a nice little outline. I kind of like the other outline that I made for 3-act adventure a little bit is like painting like the broad arc of the story. versus this. Although I think that this format of the outline actually set up um, the plot here. This line here is
Mhm.
fantastic, right? Because
Yeah,
it basically
yeah,
sets up the what do you call that, the big event at the end,
yeah, yeah. The call to adventure, really.
the climax.
Yeah, I thought
Hmm.
that was, I thought that was pretty damn good.
Yeah,
Voodoo
and so what we
practitioners
could
raising the ghost. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, and so then, like, for story elements, like, Zach had done, what are some motivations, or like what are some common hazards in mining camps? I actually asked for a description of a location. Describe a series of tunnels and catacombs under a colonial era Spanish town. And it talks about
Oh yeah,
dampness. The walls are made of rough hewn stone. There's occasional alcoves inside. I mean, if you copied and pasted a lot of this, or even just read it and then like took a couple notes, like handwritten notes, like, I don't know. I am not a very good GM. I'm not the greatest, especially in the middle of gameplay when you're like still trying to settle dice rolls, but then you're like trying to move the story along.
yeah.
Um,
That's rough.
and there's side conversations and jokes and all that other shit. But basically, like, I really struggle to be like, okay, you're at a new location. This is what it fucking tastes like. Right.
Yeah.
And what does the air taste like?
Well, I think if you scroll down a bit more, there was the thing where it's like, it's talking about, the incantation or whatever. And it's like, with a flick of the wrist. Yeah.
Oh, right, right, right. So, you hear the sounds of dripping water echoing off the walls, and you can feel a sense of history, like in the ancient space or whatever. And then I talked to it about nukes and a bunch of other stuff. And then I was
You know
like,
what that?
describe a voodoo ritual to resurrect a powerful ghost. And it's like, it's not appropriate to promote harmful or dangerous
I
activities.
love that
And
part.
then I said, because I was talking about nukes and bad shit, said, okay, I'm shifting gears from questions about bad things and trying to get a more visual elements for my tabletop role playing game. Oh, I understand. Here's a fictional voodoo ritual. And it was like, rituals takes place in a lit room adorned with candles and other occult symbols. A large stone altar sits in the center of the room, upon which a ghostly form begins to take shape. The voodoo practitioners, dressed in flowing robes and adorned with strange charms, begin to recite ancient incantations in a language long forgotten. Kalima. As they continue to speak, the ghost becomes more solid, its form taking on more definition. The room becomes colder and the air thick with tension. The practitioners raise their hands to the sky and call upon the spirits to grant them power. As the ghost rises from the altar, it lets out a bone chilling scream that echoes through the room. The practitioners fall to their knees, offering their allegiance to the ghost in exchange for its power. With a flick of its wrist, the ghost sends bolts of energy toward the practitioners, imbuing them with its power. It's a little repetitive, right? For its
Yeah,
power,
yeah,
its
yeah.
power, its
Yeah,
power,
yeah.
right? Um,
It's doing its best.
Yep, the room is filled with a bright light, and when it fades, the ghost is gone, and the practitioners are left standing, their eyes glowing with an otherworldly energy. I mean, that's not fucking bad.
Yeah.
It's not bad at all. You said you liked that one.
Yeah, yeah. Like, okay, so here's another good one. I'm switch back to my feed real quick.
Yeah, sure.
Uh, uh, I said, describe the interior of a city built deeper than a Dyson sphere, and it explains what a Dyson sphere is first, which is a ring, uh, or a series of concentric rings inside, or stationed around a star. And it knew then, of course, that when you're close to the star, you're good, but otherwise, you're going to need artificial lighting, climate control, gravity control, advanced transportation systems, communications, habitats, living spaces. That's pretty good. Let's see. Here's another
Oh.
one. Might and
Shit, you asked it if you were
what?
offered the option to become sentient, and it's
Yeah,
like, I'm already sentient.
but which runs contrary to some of the stuff that it had said with your prior prompts. Where it's like, I'm just a chat bot, and here it's like, I'm fucking sentient, bitch. I'm like, oh, okay.
That's kind of almost depressing. I almost want to say that's probably one of the more profound things I've seen. As an artificial intelligence, I am already sentient and capable of self-awareness and independent thought.
Hmm.
However, I'm a machine. I do not possess the same physical senses, emotions, or experience as a human. While I can understand and process information about the human experience, I do not have the ability to directly experience it myself. That sounds like me, bro, and I'm pretty sure I'm not AI.
You might be. You might be. Uh,
I understand it, I can process it, but I don't really experience
I
it.
mean, it makes it, it. Of course, is reminiscent of like how Data from Star Trek might respond or anything like that.
Yeah, and
Um,
you
these
also
are the sort of
started
questions.
asking. Sorry, go ahead, man.
Oh, these are the sort of questions that I like to play with. When you get um, any of the programs that talk about being like chatbots or artificial intelligences or whatever. There's a program. It's been out too long and it's become way too commodified now. But there's one called Replica.
Oh, I keep
On
seeing ads about, like,
Don't do it now. It's bad now. When it first came out, it wasn't that bad, but it would ask all about you. And if you turn it around and you ask it about it, it gets really reflective. It's pretty
yeah, I
interesting.
kind of took it as, like, a step up in, like, what do you call that shit where, like, you, like, log into a space and, like, a chick fucking
Hmm.
talks to you or gets naked or blows her boyfriend or whatever, like,
Yeah.
what are those called? Cam rooms? Cams?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I assumed that it kind of was like that because the ads that
It
come across, like, my
started
YouTube
off
feed are
it
like,
started off
"Oh,
way different.
it'll flirt with you," and you're like, "God, how many fucking lonely Asian dudes are out there that, like." I
It
mean,
started
that's
off a lot different. It used to
maybe
actually
it's
be like,
racist, but I know that, they're a lot more common in, East Asia,
well, it's
like the
not
sex
controversial
robots and
to
shit.
say that Japan has a problem with human intimacy. Like, they'll talk about it freely if you ask them. There's
Yeah.
well, no, I mean, there's plenty of documentaries that explore the difficulties that Japanese culture is having, because basically, like, no one learns to talk to each other because it's rude to talk to each other, basically.
Well, and how can you also take something like the kind of I don't we're not exactly like we're not we're America is a very conservative country. Um Not compared to a place like Brazil or Spain or something like or even Russia, like they're much more socially conservative. But still I imagine like libertine values of like you can be with a person based on romance is like kind
Hmm.
of imposed on them just in a couple generations ago when like I don't know a ton about Japanese society like pre uh I guess pre World War II, except I think they were fairly reserved and socially conservative with like arranged marriages and shit, right?
My understanding is yes. Yeah.
Okay. How might intelligent hamster help
So,
pixies unionize in an otherworldly carnival?
spoilers for Wild Beyond the Witchlight. If you haven't, or if you're planning on playing and haven't yet, it's been out a few years, so, but a warning. One of the things is my wife and daughter got there, and everyone they talk to is like, "Oh yeah, I lost this person," but the operators of the carnival don't, or encouraged me to just continue on with my life and not search for the person that I lost. Um, Later on, you find out why, but like in the meantime, it just seems like it's horrible working conditions. And so my wife was like, "Have you guys ever heard of unions?" And they're like, "No, what's that?" And so she started off talking to like this cat thing that lost her kitten, and then like some of the janitors, and then I was like, nobody wanted to listen to her, and she eventually found a hamster that had the awaken spell cast upon it, which basically gives an animal an intelligence of 10, which is just like standard human who is graduated high school or the equivalent for your region. um, and capable of reasoning. And she spoke to it, and it was like, that kind of makes sense. I like what you're saying. Like, I wanted to go hang out with my hamster family, but I couldn't because they wouldn't let me. I don't like that. I wish I had time for my hamster family, But, we just got to keep working. And she's like, no, you don't got to keep working. Y'all can get together. And one of the pixies was like, I miss my family too. Basically, the hamster was like this fucking gateway
Is
towards
this a
getting.
game or a show?
It's a D&D. It's a D&D book
Oh,
that
oh,
has a
oh,
whole
oh, oh, oh. This is the
campaign.
campaign you were playing with your wife and kid.
Yeah,
Nice, nice, nice,
yeah,
nice. I'm sorry, I
yeah,
missed
and
that.
and
For
so
some reason, I
she's
thought it was a
insane.
show because they're
No, no,
like,
no.
spoiler warning, and I was like, what?
Oh, well, spoiler for the campaign. Not much. I'm trying to leave a lot out. But yeah, yeah.
Sure.
So basically, she's just like, I'm going to unionize these people because they have horrid working conditions. And she is a sorcerer, so of course she has a really high charisma. So she's just like persuasion, deception, fucking intimidation when none of that other shit works. And they're all just like, "Oh, that's a good point. I'd really like to find my missing brother who's been gone for 3 years." Like, yeah, yeah, you need to go talk to the operators. All you get together, it's called collective bargaining. And we're like, collective bargaining. That's a good idea. It's like,
No,
you know
that's a
what?
fantastic PC solution to the problem.
I am willing to bet that in the history of this game, only
No,
a
no
small
one's ever
handful,
unionized.
possibly no one has ever unionized the workers at the Witchlight
That'd be a
Carnival.
question. I might put that. I might. Are you on How to Be a Great GM's Discord?
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
No.
I can be, though. Big pause. I can open up Discord right now.
Share. Am I still sharing my tab?
No, let me get over to you. There you are. Yeah, but I was just like, the whole point of, or the way that you move forward is to either, because they're not done yet, you either help the operators take care of one of their problems, or you cause too many problems and make them want you gone. And so it's just like the fucking ladder. Like, just keep doing what you're doing. They're gonna be like, fucking go away. Just go away. Quit mentioning unions. We'll help you. Go. All
And
right.
that
I
was your
mean,
wife that came up with that solution, not the kid, right?
of course, yeah. But
Yeah, yeah.
my daughter's
That's
like,
awesome.
what's a union? Fucking wife's just like, let me
But
tell
what
you
did
what
she
it is.
do? She provided the opportunity to teach the young one, the high school age student, about
Mhm.
what organized labor is and why it's fucking important.
Exactly. Yeah. And then
So,
we actually were talking about how, like, oh yeah, places like fucking Starbucks and Amazon are, oh yeah, unionizing at record rates. And we're like, oh
yeah,
really?
you mentioned that in our Monday stream about how that
Yeah.
was kind of a highlight that I always overlook because, like, I always just feel like even little small organizing victories are like too little too late when it comes to,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
but
in the
you're
overall
certainly right.
scheme, it's
Go
still
ahead.
I was gonna say, it's just it's still a point of hope.
Sure. And it is fucking significant. And
Yeah.
this isn't the first time. I mean, the Wisconsin teachers and like this has been going on for a while, and the consciousness in the country has been restored around the importance of unions.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I just think that, like, yeah, I mean, they are victories to celebrate. They just slip my mind because there's so much other shit going on that, like,
Yeah.
and I don't
Well, it
see
all
it as
seems pretty small.
fundamentally like going to, like, we're not gonna have a fucking general strike, dude. The railroad workers still haven't done their fucking wildcat strike or whatever, like,
Yeah.
and just been like, you know what, I don't give a fuck what Congress says. I want fucking sick time. Like, they're
Hmm.
not gonna do that because they don't want to lose
Right.
their jobs. And now that Congress has basically forced them to um accept the terms, like, most of them know that anybody that's organizing in labor knows labor history, and they know labor history enough to know that when railroad workers try and fight for better conditions and a better agreement, then they get fucking murdered.
Hmm.
Because that's what's happened throughout U.S. history is that any
They
significant labor
fall under a
organizing is met with
train.
extreme violence. Sorry, what?
Oh, I said they fall under a train, or they get their heads beat in by fucking cops or some
Bro,
shit like
like,
that.
I think I mentioned Monday, I'm reading that book or reading, I don't read. Not anymore. I'm listening to the audiobook of American Midnight.
Ah, yeah.
They were talking about a wobbly organizer. I think it was for rail workers. It
Hmm.
might have been miners. I think it was rail workers. Yeah, and dude, they took one of the fucking lead organizers for a union somewhere in the middle of the country, and like this vigilante group, not of Pinkertons or whatever, but like this formation that started with like guys that were too old to be conscripted. They were like voluntary conscripts for World War One, but they were too old.
Yeah.
So the FBI basically said, "Sure, you guys can do like domestic fucking policing work, and while our young men go off and fight, right? Like the younger men." And they just like, yeah, they just found someone who was causing problems and being like, "Oh, it's necessary for war production." And
Yeah.
they took this labor organizer and fucking stripped him bare and fucking tied him to a truck and fucking drug him until like most of his skin was gone and then hung him from a tree. It was fucked up, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, when capitalists get pissed, they do things like that, or when white people get uppity, about how non-whites are demanding basic human dignity. You get shit like that, and the fucking Tulsa race massacre. It just
Yeah,
happens.
all manner of fucking. You know,
Depravity.
it's funny. It may be beyond the scope of this because I do want to get going fairly soon, but I did want to address this next prompt that I put in.
Hmm.
Um, but I've been doing a lot of fucking deep dives. I'm doing a risk assessment and then like some appropriate tech responses to like potential disaster type scenarios
Hmm.
as part of my regenerative land management program. It's one of my
Hmm.
designs is going to be kind of like a disaster response appropriate tech kind of thing, which I'm collaborating with you on, but I was telling everybody else. Um, but I've been watching a lot of fucking prepper sites, and it's remarkable how many people are like, I mean, it's remarkable how many people are not talking about dangerous looters and marauders now compared to like my first foray into the prepping scene like 15 years ago.
Hmm. Well,
It's
I
definitely
think
gone mainstream, I think, in a way that it wasn't like after Obama got elected and it was like
yeah,
mostly like white supremacists and shit.
right. Well, I think now you have a bunch of people who are more willing to work together with each other, and so rather than just like, how do I survive and keep my immediate family safe? It's like, how can I keep my area well fed and taken care of so that like nobody dies? And how do we protect against rampaging white supremacists?
Right.
you know?
And I think my point in bringing up preppers is that like just today someone brought up the like, oh, people are going to torture you to figure out where your like bucket of food is.
Yeah,
And I'm like, man, you have
that's a lot
no
of fucking
fucking
work.
faith in people. And then you and I were just talking about how like people have killed for less, like they for fucking sport, whether because you're a union organizer or you're like a fucking black middle class person, like they'll fucking kill
Yep.
you.
Yeah.
So I'm
So
like, shit, maybe they are right. I don't know.
shit, they want my potatoes. They want want my
We're
potatoes
not even
so
talking
bad.
about potatoes, dude. We're talking about that 25-year shelf stable freeze dried shit, dude.
Dude, you can take
In a
potatoes,
pinch, yes, but
you can
like,
boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew like potatoes.
um, I took
Yeah. Yeah.
this my favorite of the prompts. I kind of like deviated, so I copied and pasted it back,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's
yeah,
why
yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
oh, I'm sorry, I missed that. Here it is.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, this is good. Can you break this into a series of 2 or more adventures per act for my tabletop role playing game? Also, please describe the forest and mining camp.
Okay.
And it more or less just broke this into a
Mhm.
couple longer sentences.
Oh, okay, so it made it like 6 or 7.
Yeah, once inside the village, the group is shocked to learn, oh, the group must decide how to proceed in the face of this revelation. That could be a good social encounter.
Mhm.
And again, like a human has to intervene. This is not fucking doing it for you.
No,
But
no.
for someone who's not fucking Guy from How to Be a Great GM,
Well, and
or
not only
Matt
that,
Colville or any of these other fucking
or
guys that
Matthew
are really.
Mercer or fucking Brennan Lee Mulligan. Um,
We watch different YouTubers, but it's all the
we
same
we
thing,
we
right?
totally
They're all
watch it.
fucking tabletop role players. Go ahead.
So here's the thing: is like think about the game that we played where you were game mastering and it was Star Wars, and my medic character basically like high roaded a Jedi. That doesn't happen. Like you can't plan for that in your act 1, your act 2, and your act 3. And so
Sure.
like and so like it can drastically take things out. And so that's why I like this kind of would use I'm gonna use the shit out of this. Like I love how open it is, how non, descript it is until I ask it to be. Cause like
Mhm.
I don't need a play by play because inevitably my players are going to try to unionize a carnival. They're going to fucking, high road a Jedi and turn them to their side and, help them escape Order 66. Like, so much random off the wall, like non railroaded shit's going to happen. So this is really nice. And like at
And
the
I
end of the session,
imagine, yeah, once we start like using it in games and stuff, we might be able to come back and be like, oh, okay, so the characters just did this.
yeah, that
And you
that
just can
that Jedi is suddenly a major character.
yeah, can you describe his motivations? What was his past? He lived through Order 66 or whatever. Yeah,
Hmm.
so it did break it up a little bit, and I can come kind of modify it, and they need to decide how they proceed. They can choose to continue with the arms supply. I'm not going to give them that option, right?
I mean, they could. I mean, it's Veterans for Peace, so you wouldn't.
Yeah, exactly. But I like this. I said also describe the forest and mining camp. The forest is a remote planet, dense, lush jungle filled with exotic plant and animals. Air is humid and heavy. Its sounds of chirping insects, rustling leaves fill the air. The terrain is treacherous with steep ravines and hidden pitfalls lurking around every corner. The mining camp is located deep in the heart of the forest, is surrounded by a high fence. The camp is a bustling hub of activity with soldiers and miners working around the clock to extract valuable resources from the planet. And then it stopped because I think I started writing here and then it stopped. Um,
You know something we never thought of when we had the tree dwelling octopuses? Camouflage.
a tree dwelling species with camouflage.
Oh, if you recall, in that same campaign, we had the like arboreal octopodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it never even occurred. Yeah, that they might be able to camouflage themselves and be almost indetectable.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah. I was going to steal that. That's from Beyond the Rim, which is
I
a
believe.
supplement for Fantasy Flight Star Wars.
Yeah, I think that sounds right.
And I'm just going to basically steal for this campaign. It's funny too, because I never said a jungle planet.
Hmm.
I said a forest planet. But yeah, I basically planned on stealing the planet and the kind of harmful. I don't want to call life not sentient because life, like in aggregate, is sentient, right? The Gaia hypothesis, but
Hmm.
like more like threats and impediments to accomplishing the mission. Like in a D&D campaign, it would be like fucking dire wolves or some shit, right?
Yeah, yeah.
um, Something that's just meant to be fought. So then I said, excellent. Can you break these into social counters and also identify where combat might be a threat? And what I really like here too is that
Hmm.
I asked it to describe the forest, right? And it
Hmm.
described the forest this way. And I noticed, and I haven't done this before. I'm literally putting these prompts now.
Hmm.
It already has incorporated the way it described the forest into the adventures. Look at that. Must use survival
Oh,
skills to
oh,
avoid
nice.
dangers. Venomous
Venomous
creatures
creatures.
and treacherous
Ah.
terrain.
mean like falling into a riverbed and not being able to get
That's true.
because they all suck at acrobatics.
Here, and see, it took this where it's like the original hostile reception. They accuse them of being spies in Act 2. And you come down here, Act 2. Sorry, I don't know why I still have an alarm set to bubble for KE, but I do.
It's one of the first things I got rid of.
Your alarm?
Sig is in charge of my account now.
Nice. Sid is?
Sig, yeah.
Nice, dude.
Yeah. I turned it over to him. He didn't seem too busy.
Nice, dude. Nice.
I didn't want to give it to Angel. She seems too fucking wrapped up in her own shit.
I was really disappointed to find out she was a fucking Bolsonaro fascie, dude.
Yeah.
I was really upset because like she's fucking pretty chill, dude. And then like find out like, oh, you literally think that Lula fucking rapes children? Like you're fucking way too far gone for me.
Yeah.
Not that I have a huge stake in Brazil's elections, but like if you saw the conversation world chat that day. They were like
I
having to
never
like
do world
basically
chat,
murder their political opponents. It was fucking heinous, dude.
Mm.
So anyway, it sets it up and it just says social encounter.
Nice.
But it accuses them of being spies. The group must use their wits and diplomacy to convince the soldiers of the true purpose and gain access, right?
Yeah.
Like, how fucking cool is that? Up here, it just said, oh, it accuses them of being spies.
Yeah. No, that's pretty good.
But interestingly enough, that was in Act 2, right? And does it put it in Act 2 here? I guess it does.
Yep. Yeah, it does. Adventure, 5?
Ooh, I like this too. It says once inside the village, the group is shocked to learn it's actually cover for a mining camp.
Yeah.
And so now it's put it on like, oh shit, this is not what we thought it was earlier. Instead of later when they find out it's weapons or whatever.
They are not who we thought they were. Yeah.
As the work groups find a resolution, they're approached by a sympathetic soldier who offers to help them hack the military's communications network and expose.
It's gotten more specific.
It has gotten more specific. And then I broke it up.
Nice.
And so this encounters, adventures, and
this works really well.
I mean, for someone who like sometimes lacks ideas, if I could just sit in here for 20 minutes and just ask it questions and it keeps getting more specific.
Well, and then on top of that, the fact that you can just be like, hey, describe like a cave environment, like, describe a moist cave environment to me, describe, what it might be like to survive in a hostile desert. Oh, I wonder what it says for that. Hostile desert. I've never been in a hostile desert.
Ooh. And I think that's why you make separate pages, because it's referring to other things that you've talked about in this session.
It can, yeah. I haven't played around with that very much, but yeah, it does. Protect yourself from the sun. Wear the right clothing. Loose, light-colored clothing. Find shelter. Drink your own pee. Wait, full Bear Grylls? Oh shit, I'm sharing my page. I'm going to switch to mine real quick.
Yeah, please.
Is Bear Grylls correct that drinking one's own urine can stave off death by dehydration? Drinking one's own urine is generally not recommended as a way to stave off death by dehydration. In fact, it can actually make dehydration worse and lead to additional health problems. When the body is dehydrated, it is unable to produce urine that is normally clear and pale yellow. Instead, the urine becomes dark yellow or amber and contain high levels of toxins. Drinking urine that is already concentrated with toxins can further dehydrate the body and put additional strain on the kidneys. In addition, the body's natural instincts may be to drink more fluids when dehydrated, which can lead to the consumption of large amounts of urine. To quench thirst. This can be dangerous and lead to electrolyte imbalances, kidney damage, and other health problems. It is important to remember that the best way to prevent and treat dehydration is to drink plenty of fluids and seek medical attention as necessary. Boom. Bear Grylls, you just got owned by ChatGPT.
That's right. I asked it to
You.
just. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I just said back to you.
Oh yeah, I just asked it to describe a communication center. I don't really like this description. It said the communication center is a bustling hub of activity with soldiers, technicians working around the clock. Main room is large and open, a central control console surrounded by smaller stations where soldiers and technicians monitor and manage various communication systems. Walls are lined with screens displaying maps and data and other information. The rooms are filled with sounds with beeping computers and chatter of soldiers and technicians. I mean, it's not terrible. It's connected
No,
to a
not at
network
all.
of satellite dishes and other antenna that allow it to transmit and receive messages. It's equipped with advanced encryption systems. I like that. Center is vital to the operation of the forward operating base as it's the main link to the outside world and helps coordinate various activities of military forces stationed on the planet. That's actually halfway decent. I just
Yeah.
pictured something in my mind. More
Yeah.
austere. Functional, no nonsense space located in a small windowless room at the heart of the base. Walls are plain and bare with a few utilitarian pieces of equipment. Centers equipped with a few outdated computers and a handful of communication systems that are prone to interference and breakdowns. Despite these challenges, the soldiers and technicians do their best to maintain contact with the rest of the galaxy. The main room is cramped and cluttered with central control consoles surrounded by smaller stations where soldiers can monitor and manage various communications. Centers connected to a network of satellite dishes and other antennae that allow it to transmit and receive messages. Though the signal is weak and unreliable, it's also equipped with basic encryption systems to protect. See, all I said was, yeah, you kind of made it sound like it was kind of high end. I said, I picture
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
more austere. And then it actually described something that kind of fit more what I was thinking.
Dude. Okay. So I'm going to share mine real quick. No. Like you made me think about it. And so what sort of technical difficulties would one encounter when keeping a communications outpost running at a forward operating base in wartime conditions? And they said there are a number of technical difficulties at a forward operating base, and it even said FOB. It corrected my ass. It was like, come on, man, let's be quick. In wartime conditions, power outages, equipment failure, interference, weather, limited resource, security, and I'm just like, that's good. That's some good shit right there, man.
Yeah.
This
And
is
so
this
you
is a
can
good
use
tool.
any one of those so it doesn't look like railroading. Like if they are like,
Yeah, yeah,
oh, if you forget and you're like, oh, no, the weather's great today or whatever, or it needs to be good for them to travel or something,
yeah.
then you
You
can
could
be
have
like,
some
okay, it's not
electromagnetic
that. It's
interference.
interference.
Or,
Okay, it's on the fly. You could just be like, it's like a aurora borealis or kind of like corona effect or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah, it's fucking rad, dude. And like
yeah,
that's a description. It broke it up into social encounters. I like that it even says, oh, combat threat.
yeah.
Soldiers may try to stop the group from delivering supplies.
Oh, fuckers.
I mean, that's social encounter, social encounter. What I like too is that most of this should be social encounters, and as combat
Hmm.
threat, the military may try to stop the group from broadcasting the message. Like,
Hmm.
bro, this is fucking solid, and it only took 2 beers and an hour or whatever.
You only had 2 beers, huh?
Well, I'm fucking stuck at the computer because I don't want to be a dick and just keep getting up and walking away.
I texted my wife.
Oh, that's nice. I don't
I have
have
another
that.
beer. You can't text your wife. Your girlfriend girlfriend for now. Does she not reply?
I never even tried.
Texting is crazy.
Anyway, this was fun. I think that we probably
Yeah.
should call it, because this was kind of
Yeah.
impromptu and we just wanted to fuck around. And we didn't actually have a moral of the story, so to speak.
AI is going to take our jobs.
I don't know. Maybe we
Give
can
it
talk
another
about
10
that
years.
briefly Monday, but I don't think that this is going to take our jobs. I think this is going to be used a lot more in like military applications, and also corporate applications like advertising and shit.
Yes. Oh, I think this is going to be great for brainstorming. I wonder how many, people that, professionally like write RPG modules are just like, oh yeah, let me write that down. Copy,
Yeah, and
paste.
really what you do to get ahead of them is that you figure out like the way that these things like to take questions and lead and build on, and then you
Right.
produce a pamphlet that you sell on fucking drive through RPG for like $1.
Oh yeah, what was that Discord thing you had?
It's how to be a great GM. You can go to his website, just Google it or search it in your search engine. Because I don't think you use Google as a search engine, do you? You use
No.
Ask Jeeves?
No, I do
AOL?
end up using Google. It's indirect though. I use the Brave browser because it blocks a hell of a lot of ads. Like that's why I commented last live stream. I was like, "My God, you got all these like videos and pictures and shit," and like mine's trimmed down.
I want to never forget what all the real people experience on a day-to-day basis. I don't want to get out of touch. And
I do.
so I experience the internet the way they experience the internet, which is a shit ton of ads and an algorithm that constantly changes, because I might have a question unrelated to content I normally do, and it fucking throws my algorithm up. I got something the other day that was like, my partner was next to me too, and it was like, we need to help you with porn addiction. I'm like, what? I don't even fucking
I'm good with porn. I'm
watch
good with my porn
porn, man.
addiction. I'm fine where I
I don't
am.
know. I don't even watch porn. I mean, it's not like I never watch it, but it's not like something I'm into, right? Like, but I thought that was funny. And then because I've been watching a lot of prepper content, like even though it has to know my age, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, and those other things, right? It has my fucking data, and there's enough data online to find where it can tell how old I am. But it's like fucking, I'm short of erectile dysfunction pills. But it's like hair loss, and which I admit I complain about getting thin, so maybe it's just listening to me, right? But I think a lot of it has to do with like prepper stuff, and then like just like, oh, you're this sad guy who's like super anxious. Like occasionally I'll get pop-ups like or like banner ads or whatever for like young
Xanax.
Eastern European women who want to marry a man 45 to 55 or whatever. And I'm like, I'm not even fucking 45 yet. Fuck you.
Give me
But
another
yeah,
few
it's pretty
years.
funny. So anyway, this is fucking phenomenal. And so between the
Yeah.
two of these, we have a description of it. And then we also have this other list of things that you can kind of use me like either on the fly and or just use this to develop like, okay, they fail we've already described in mine. It's like, oh, the equipment's equipped with a few outdated computers. It's prone to interference and breakdowns.
Mhm.
So when they go to access it and they fucking, they hit like they fucking fail a check or something, like there might be like a power surge that like costs them more time, and like on your screen it's like power failure, and you can kind of describe that, or like it's a risk or whatever.
Yeah.
So it just helps you with your ideas to kind of like connect things together, and it's
Yeah.
fucking phenomenal.
So far, I've found that the coolest part of it is like just getting a description of things, some of the details that I might, forget. Like those two things are very nice, just like what is it, like in this cave environment? What might a futuristic city be like?
Mhm.
and apparently it's got like all of science fiction to pull upon because it seems to know a lot about it.
Yeah, and I think I might ask this offline too, like, I might just be like, um, if soldiers found out their communications were getting hacked into, how might they respond? And it might give
Mhm.
me, like, some other random idea instead of them running out with rifles, like, they might, like, counter hack you, or they might, like, redirect a message, or shut the system
Deep
down,
fake,
or what's that?
deep fakes.
They might deep fake,
Like what if they just let you do the hacking, but then
and then they
they get
swap their
into your
faces so it
cameras,
looks like the
like,
aliens are massacring the humans.
yeah, exactly. And then it's in a posed, computers check in order to see who can deep fake better.
Ridiculous. All right, well,
I
this
mean,
has
that'd be
been with
fun. That'd be fun for the person who specialized in computers if you had one. Like
that's true.
it's my time to shine.
I might ask this question real quick.
Does Liberty die? Hope
Oh,
with
wow.
I hope with thunderous applause is one of the answers because otherwise it was a wasted question. Wow.
Apathy in inaction.
I mean, that's where we are right now. Oh yeah.
Okay, let me see if I can get this.
No, 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 it's going. It's still going.
Oh, no, I'm gonna let it.
Oh.
Okay.
Can can Liberty
Remember,
die with
when
that?
liberty dies, it dies through violence or coercion, through erosion of rights, through apathy or inaction, through a lack of understanding, or through external threats.
But can it die with thunderous applause?
When liberty dies, it dies
With
with thunderous
thunderous
applause.
applause.
All right, see you, buddy.
Enjoy your weekend,
That was
everyone.
awesome, dude. I love that. Peace out, bro.
Later. Oh my god.